Okay, this video is gonna be kind of short because I was struggling with it, hence why it's so late in the day. Man, I only have 13 more scripts to write though. We're coming close up on the end. I mean, that's still like at least how many days left? Like 30-ish? A little less than 30. I can do that. Or maybe it's more than 30. I don't know numbers. I'm an artist. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about today is moving into the final act of your story, act number 3. And my next video will be actually about writing the ending of your story, and after that I'm going to talk about writing sad endings, because a whole bunch of you asked how the heck are you supposed to write sad endings, and I should do that. I know also tons of you are asking like how to write other plot types other than the hero's journey / 3-act structure, and I think I'll probably get to that after all of these videos are complete. But the basic rundown on that I want to quickly address is that these kind of plots basically work for anything, and like any sort of plot you would want to write, aside from something kind of like, I don't know the word, but more like avant-garde, more like not deconstruction, I don't know the words, but unless you're looking into something that kind of defies story structure in general, in which case you need to kind of make up your own stuff for that. But Hero's Journey, more specifically the 3-act structure, does apply to more than just simple, really strict Hollywood type tellings of stories. It applies to all sorts of genres and all sorts of problems, be they interpersonal type struggles with your character, be they mystery plot struggles, or even like a heroic journey. You just gotta kind of think of them in different ways, and I'd love to get into that at another date, but just keep your mind open to that. And yeah, in the meantime, let's talk about moving on to the end part of your story, Act 3. So we've kind of meandered in the middle bits for far too long, and it's time to get into the 3rd act and beyond being publishing for the most part. And in order to do that, there's a few things we need to take into consideration. As we move into the 3rd act, we need to be aware of what is ahead and how to shift into it. So today, let's talk about the shift from middle to ending. And then in my next video, as I said, we're going to discuss more in depth actually how endings work. So when you're moving into the end portion of your story, what does that mean? Well, it means that you are going to reach the highest point of your plot action, and you're also going to reach the lowest point for your characters, and you're going to resolve this thing called a plot. So in order to make a graceful transition into your awesome, super awesome ending, or horrifically terrible ending, as we'll discuss later, what do you need to do? Okay, so beyond moving into your ending, for your own sake, it's good to, before you get into that, reacquaint yourself with the beginning of your story, because as I've discussed in the introduction halves of the 100 days, the beginning of your story is very much a reflection of your end, or more, the end is a reflection of your beginning. So I always like to reread things before I get into any sort of major plot shift. I'll do it like after the midpoint. I'll reread around the inciting incident just to get myself on track and look at my outlines and ideas and see if they're all lining up. So become acquainted with the beginning of your story and any additional bits like midpoint, all the points where you'd be creating progress. So make sure you're well aware of what's going on in there. And if you're a nice, well-kept, organized person, you probably don't need to look back tons. But if you're a complete mess like me, go ahead and reread what you got before moving full force into the ending. Or you can just write your ending and then edit it. Also a valid strategy. Okay. Anyways, so the real trick to moving into a successful final act is knowing what you've set up and then making sure all of those pieces are lined up, you have all the setup that you need, and then you start knocking them down. And sort of the deal of why you want to make sure that everything is set up is because the 3rd act is not a place for setup. The 3rd act is a place not where clues are found, like the second half of Act 2. Like the second half of Act 2, that's about clues. That's about getting more things that can build to answers. Whereas Act 3 is about answers. It's about things coming together. It's the end. We're not going to be adding anything new. We're not going to be asking more questions, except maybe at the very end if we're doing some sort of sequel or just like some ambiguity to the end. But for the most part, it should be very question light, answer heavy. So you need to know what you are answering. And when we move into the final act of the story, aside from being well-versed in how things are going to end, it's also time to think about ramping up your stakes. Ramp those stakes. Throw those stakes on a ramp, okay? And this starts to really begin right at the beginning of Act 3. And it often this ramping up of stakes often clues me in to when Act 3 has truly begun. And what this ramping up is usually called it's called a ticking time bomb, or maybe it's just called a time bomb. Either way, it's a time bomb and it ticks and it's gonna explode. It's something that makes your plot more urgent, and it's something so bad that needs to be stopped right now and really pushes everyone into gear. The bomb either explodes or doesn't at the end of the final turning point, which is our climax. And if it doesn't explode, it's because an even bigger bomb actually went off and exploded instead. Okay? So as you move into the final act of your story, it can be really helpful to add pressure and be aware of any sort of ticking time bombs that you're adding. Now, obviously, not every story has a bomb in it. Not even every story has a ticking time bomb, but for those that do, it's not always actually a literal bomb, because, man, wouldn't stories feel all the same if they all end with like, oh man, a bomb is about to go off. We better solve our relationship problems. No, the most classic like romance example of a ticking time bomb is love interest is gonna board a plane, they're moving away, we have to run and find them. The protagonist has to jump into gear, push past security, and really solidify that relationship finally in the airport at the very last possible minute. That's what your ticking time bomb ends up doing, is it creates a last possible minute dealio. And for a strong plot bomb, you need to look at your laced plots, and you need to create a time bomb that's relative to what sort of lace plots you're dealing with, and you also want it to relate to your character. Like, often, at this point in your plot, your character is going to be offered an easy solution. Your character's probably going to have the answer to all their problems just within their reach, but instead of seizing it, they go after something else, because, like yes, their brother is there, and they could totally save them right now, but there's bigger fish to fry right now. Like, this thing that they've been trying to achieve throughout the whole story could just show up right beside them, but they're like, no, gotta kill this dragon first. And by killing the dragon, they finally, like, are able to overcome their biggest character flaw, and they're able to establish their need, or they're able to get what they need out of the story, because in order to get their want, they need to do their need. It's a big thing in writing in general. But either way, the Act 3 is going to lead you to this point where the need is going to be challenged. Your character is going to be challenged. They're going to set aside what they want for a bit, and they're going to be a better character. They're going to do what they got to do instead of going back to their selfish ways, even though those will be thrown into their face a little bit. And yeah, that is basically what you need to know as we move into the middle of the story. From the middle of the story into the end of the story. I really suck at endings. I don't really know how to explain them. They're kind of not something I think about all the time. I'm probably really bad at them. I don't know. Look at me trying to end this thing right now. It's going great. Oh man, we need a ticking time bomb, don't we, to like end this video. Pressure and such. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Sorry that I'm so late, and I can do this. I can get through the 100 days of making comics. I believe in myself. I don't actually. I've been really sad recently, and I don't believe that I can do anything at all. Man, that's depressing. F in the chat for my life. Pay respects. Okay, I gotta go. Okay, I got dogs. Don't you?